So the trouble this week seems to be with how to analyze an article. To help you out, I thought I'd choose my own article and go through it with you. This article is called Police Start Campaign to Fight Distracted Driving, and it comes from this Saturday's News Gazette. Take a minute to read the first few paragraphs. As you can see, this article is mostly about a police officer trying to deal with texting and driving. At first, it might not seem to be connected to the idea of a meaningful life. That's okay. I've got a chart that can help me work through it, and if there's something there, I'll find it. My chart has 3 columns: general idea, where in the article I find that general idea, and how can I build on that. As I go through the article, I'll read it and make some notes for myself, and then see if I can fit those notes into this chart. So let's go back to those opening paragraphs. As I'm reading this, one of the things I'm seeing is that there's a police officer expressing concern. This is something I can make a note about. So I took out my sticky note and wrote to myself, here's a police officer expressing concern about drivers and others. Caring about others might add to a meaningful life. That's a potential general idea for my chart. Could be something I could work with. Glad I made a note of it. Now it's time to connect and read for it further, so I'm going to take the next section of the article. I notice in this section that there are a couple of police officers working together. There's some potential there, so I'm going to make another note for myself. As you can see, I wrote, here 2 people are coming together to address a problem they see in the world. That could have a strong connection to a meaningful life. Again, that could be another general idea I put on my chart, people coming together to address a problem. I've seen folks do that here at Blue Ridge, even with the Joplin, Missouri tornadoes, getting together and going to help. It might be something I can build on there. It's time to keep reading, though. I don't know. This section of the article seems to be mostly about the dangers of distracted driving. There could be something at the top about people wanting to get the most out of their lives, but that might not be real strong. I don't want to include something flimsy in my analysis because that will undercut anything else I'm trying to say. So I'm going to make a note to myself to maybe avoid using this section. I wrote, this seems to be describing some dangerous driving behaviors. I think trying to connect this to the idea of a meaningful life might be a stretch. I could talk about how people are trying to make the most of their time, but there really isn't anything to support that as their motivation, and they could just have impulse control issues. I shouldn't try to push this point. So I'm going to continue reading the article. Unlike the last section, this seems to have some potential in it. I see folks coming together again. I remember seeing that earlier when the 2 officers came together. Now I see them working with parents and the school and local businesses. it's time to make another note. One of my notes says, the officers are using family relationships to help kids make better choices. This is another example of people reaching out and working together to achieve something positive. I think that connects to having a meaningful life. I made an additional note that said, working with the school and business sector here, that looks promising as well. This whole idea of people coming together seems very strong in this article. I know it's something I'll be able to work with. I'm going to keep reading now. Well, at first I didn't see much in this section, but when I got to the end, I see this quote here. We're trying to do whatever we can to change the mindset. That seems like having a hard work ethic. That could be something I could build on. So I made a note to myself. He says he will do whatever it takes. That kind of goal setting and work ethic might connect to a meaningful life. I know a lot of people who've had a meaningful life because they work hard. Thinking about my dad, he paid the bills by working overtime. I might be able to build on that. I'm going to finish up the article now. Well, those paragraphs do provide closure to the article, but not much more there. Time for me to go back to my chart. I did have some general ideas, and I think I can jot them down now. I remember having caring about others. That was early in the article. And I also saw many examples of people working together to solve a problem. And if I wanted to add a last general idea here, I could write into this box at the bottom of the first column something about a work ethic or striving to achieve goals. My next job is to find where these items connect to the article. This is an analysis of the article, and if I can't prove those general ideas exist there, my analysis isn't going to be very strong. So I went back to my chart and I added some information. For caring about others, I could say that the officer cares about the safety of other drivers and when it comes to distracted driving. That was definitely there, and it was an important point in the beginning. For working together to solve a problem, I saw lots of examples. The two officers coming together, they worked with families at the school registration, and they worked with the school and local businesses too. And of course, if I wanted to build on that third point of work ethic, I did have that quote about wanting to do whatever it would take to get the job done. So I know that's there too. My next task is to see how I can build on that. How can I connect the items that are in the article to a meaningful life? To do that, I can depend on my own knowledge and experience and add outside ideas. That's what analysis is all about anyway. So I took some time to jot down some of the things I thought about earlier and add some new ideas too. My chart's pretty full now. For my first general idea, caring about others, I said caring about others adds to a meaningful life. I see this in my family. My wife and kids mean the world to me. I added something about my friendships there too, and I had lots of other ideas. I thought about the students I see here at Blue Ridge and the way they take care of each other. Then I had the general idea of working together to solve a problem. I saw some of this taking place in the last year or so while people were working on political campaigns. Folks came together and got meaning out of their lives by working toward a cause they believed in. I've seen it here at Blue Ridge, where students went to Joplin to help clean up after the tornadoes. And I know our school is pushing community service, such as with the Return the Favor program. So there were lots of ideas there about how working together to solve a problem can connect to having a meaningful life. And like I said, I know that's based in the article because I have 3 examples of that. I added the general idea of working hard to achieve a goal because I knew that the officer said he would do what it takes to stop distracted driving. I jotted down that note about my dad and overtime, and I added another example too, students coming in before or after school or at lunch to get assistance with challenging topics. And I'm looking at my pretty full chart now, and I'm thinking that the paragraph I have to write seems pretty doable. Whereas before it was just an article about distracted driving, Now I've got 3 general ideas. I can prove they exist in that article because I've got examples, and I can explain how they connect to a meaningful life, sometimes in more than 1 or 2 ways. I feel like my paragraph's going to be pretty long now, and that 70-30 ratio of analysis to summary shouldn't be too hard to achieve. I hope this tutorial helped you. Of course, if you have more questions or need further examples, you can always come in before school or after school and get some more assistance. Replaying the video might help too. Good luck!